Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. So, is this your idea of success? Having the applause, having the acknowledgement of the crowds. Well, I can say that there certainly was a time in my life when I thought that it was. When having people clap for me, having people acknowledge the greatness of whatever it is I had accomplishment, was my idea of having made it. And I think for many of us, whether it be exactly that or something, slightly different, it really comes down to something similar. What do others think about us? What is the acknowledgement that we're receiving on the outside? And that this must somehow be what success really is. Well, today we are going to talk about success. And it's going to be the first time in our course that we start to look at some of the practices and even some of the processes that you'll be taking people through as a soul manifestation coach. Of course, this is something first and foremost that you will be living yourself, and that you'll be practicing yourself for this entire year before you begin working with clients, so that you can get in touch with those parts of yourself that still cling to the ego's idea of success. And we can begin to re-emerge with the soul's understanding of what true success is. I remember in my own life, no matter how many houses I owned or how nice my car was or how successful I was, it never seemed to satisfy that deeper longing. And I think that this is really the essence, that there is a deep longing that we all feel as human beings. And the ego has its understanding of how to satisfy that longing, and the soul has its own. To the ego, the idea is that that longing can only be satisfied by piling more stuff or more goods on top of it. If I can have a bigger house, more money, a better relationship, whatever it may be, that somehow that longing will begin to relax. But I think we've come to the point of realizing that it never does. It never really achieves its goal, because even when we get the house, the car, whatever it is that we think that we need, it doesn't take long for that longing to return. And we're right back to where we started. As we've said before, sometimes the richest people are in reality the poorest, because no matter how much stuff they have, no matter how nice the goods are, they're so unhappy. As opposed to the true goal of the soul, how the soul satisfies that longing is by increasing goodness, not goods, knowing that all of the goods that you require will follow. Now, of course, that may look different to the soul as it does to the ego. To the soul, you don't probably need a new Lamborghini or the biggest house on the block. To the soul, sometimes simplicity is the key. I know in my own life, having released so many of the possessions and all of the different things that I thought would satisfy me, the property, the houses, and moving to a more simple environment, moving here to Mexico, for example, I've connected with a sense of goodness that I couldn't have had with the focus on the outside. Simplicity was something that I was longing for. And of course, knowing that everything that I would need would follow automatically, and certainly it has. So the goods of the soul, this is what we are truly longing for, the goods, which of course is true goodness. And as I said, we're going to look at that a little bit more deeply today, and we're going to share a process, which is something that you will be sharing at the very beginning of all of your meetings with your clients when you do start working as a soul manifestation coach. It will be the first thing that you will do, because it's important for them to evaluate where they are in relation to this teaching. And I'm going to ask you to evaluate yourself here today toward the end of this course. But I want to look a little bit more so we can understand this more deeply. It's something that we discussed in lesson 1, which is the truth of the soul versus the error of the ego. The truth of the soul versus the error of the ego. So let's go back and look at that one more time, and to remember that the soul Your soul desires really only one thing. And that one thing is to know and to experience its oneness with the I Am presence, or Christ consciousness, or Krishna consciousness, whatever you want to call that, at the very center of all reality, okay? To know and to experience its oneness with the I Am presence at the center of all reality. This is the soul's one desire, to know this one thing. Simply put, the goal of the soul is to look past and to disregard what doesn't exist, and to perceive only what does, which is knowing that everything that is good will follow when you have this focus. Everything that is good, even the goods, of course. We're not asking people to follow this path so that they can be physically poor, but to realign their idea of what true abundance is, what I like to call enlightened wealth. Okay? But the one desire of the soul, knowing that when my only focus is on the expression of that I Am consciousness, that all of these goods and goodness will follow. Now let's look at that in relation to the error of the ego. So we said that the soul desires only one thing. Well, the ego desires many things. And ultimately, this is to distract you from the one thing that is real, the one thing that the soul is longing for, the I Am consciousness. It's to distract you from that. If they can keep you focused on the outside, on the car, the house, all these other things, then it distracts you from the true understanding that none of those things will satisfy me. That is the I Am consciousness, God consciousness, to know that I am one with God, and not to know this just experientially, but to know it on a deep, intuitive, profound level, to experience that. That's what this course is really all about, entering into the experience of this oneness. Because when you have that experience, the rest of this, they're just words. They're concepts. And even these concepts can't take you there, but maybe they can unlock the door. It's your willingness that takes you there, your desire for this that takes you there. The words that you're hearing in these lessons, they're meant just to unlock the door, but you have to open it through your desire. So the only function of a soul coach is to help your so-called client release their addiction to all the many things that the ego wants, and to realign their attention with that one thing, the one thing that the soul wants, the presence of the I Am. Please be very aware of this, because it is the only thing that the soul wants, and it's the only thing that you're here to achieve as a soul manifestation coach. Maybe some of us thought that we were becoming a coach so that we could help make people's lives better. Let go of that idea right now. Will their lives become better? Well, of course they will. But the goal isn't to change the furniture around, thinking that that's going to have some real effect. The goal isn't to shift around their thoughts, believing that when we do that, that somehow some real true change is going to occur. It won't. Your only goal is to bring their attention back to the one thing that the soul desires, to help them to achieve this I Am consciousness, that I am that now. Everything I need, everything I desire is within me, and it is through the extension of that that the goods of the soul flow. And when the goods of the soul flow, everything finds its natural place. Everything I need, everything that I desire, finds its natural place. I know that you've experienced this in different ways in your life. We all have, but this is the moment that we are here to truly understand this. You are here for this one purpose, to do this yourself and then to share it as a soul coach. You said yes to this. Your soul drew you to this moment. What other moment could there be? And so now is the moment in which you get to truly awaken this and to assist in the awakening of so many others. So in a moment, we're going to look at the first process that you will be taking people through in your coaching sessions. This will help them to evaluate where they are in terms of that longing we spoke of already, and where their experience is. And so we can help identify the areas at which we need to spend more time and focus throughout the course of the sessions. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about abundance in terms of what I like to think of as unenlightened abundance, of course, from the perspective of the ego, and enlightened abundance. So what are these two things? The enlightened abundance part is going to be the evaluation itself. So you'll see that in a moment. But first, let's look at the ego's perspective of abundance, or unenlightened abundance. So there are three things that I think are most important when we think about abundance from the perspective of the ego. The first is, of course, how much money do I have in the bank, in stocks and precious metals, etc. This is the ego's primary idea of abundance. How much money do I have in the bank? In other words, how easily can I buy whatever it is I want? How easily can I satisfy that longing for more stuff, for more goods? Can I just go out and buy it when I want? That is the ego's idea of abundance. Or am I not able to do that? That would be the ego's idea of lack. I don't have enough money to buy what I want. So it's always about bucks in the bank, isn't it? And that brings us to number two. Another aspect of unenlightened abundance is, how big is my house? Or how expensive is the stuff that I have in my house? And do I own other properties or just one? All of these ideas. Property. It's still just a big aspect of having goods. And someone who is very abundant has the biggest house. At least this is what the ego thinks. I think of myself now here living in Mexico. The house that I own and live in here is maybe one of the smallest, most simple houses that I've ever lived in. But I'm telling you, the sense of soul satisfaction, the sense of goodness that I'm experiencing here, living in this environment, in this beautiful house, in this beautiful community, is beyond anything I experienced living in very, very big houses. And finally, the third aspect of the ego's idea of abundance is, and this is very important, how are you able to control the people and the situations around you? That idea of control. Can you control people? Are you able to control situations so that they turn out the way that you want? If you are out of control, from the ego's perspective, this is very bad. Abundance gives you the ability to control other people, maybe to control your employees, maybe is to control your loved ones. You have the money, you have the wealth. And so the ego's perspective is always about I. What can I do? What do I have? Rather than the experience of I am, which of course is the soul's only focus. The only goal of the ego, we'll say it, or the soul, we'll say it once again, is to express the I am consciousness. Now, I heard a story from someone that I've always loved listening to, and that's Zig Ziglar. If you don't know who Zig Ziglar is, he's one of the greatest coaches and sales trainers ever. You can watch his videos online if you want, and he's very, very inspirational. And I've always enjoyed him for many years. And I heard him tell a story about speaking to someone that he was working with about the true meaning of success. And this person that he was working with thought of his own boss as someone who was extremely successful, someone that he wanted to emulate and to imitate. And so Zig wanted to get a better idea of the level of success of his boss to see if it's something that he truly did want. And it became very obvious through the discussion that the level of abundance and success of his boss wasn't quite what this other man thought. And basically what Zig did was he made a list of 8 different things which to him were marks of a truly successful or abundant person. So let me give you the 8 things now. And then ultimately we're going to go back and we're going to look at, we're going to click them off as to whether this is a yes or a no or a maybe in my life, okay? Whether it's something I do have don't possess, or maybe sometimes. All right, so the number one thing that Zig had on this list of being truly successful was, are you happy? Are you happy in your life? Very important. Number 2, healthy. How healthy are you? Do you have vibrant health, or are you struggling with some lack of health in your life? Number 3, are you reasonably prosperous? I like that word, reasonably. It's not overwhelmingly prosperous. Do you have millions or even billions of dollars in the bank? Are you reasonably prosperous? Are you able to do what you want to do and need to do without too much concern? Number 4, are you secure in your life? Secure can mean lots of things. It doesn't necessarily mean how much money do you have. When Zig was talking to this man asking about his boss, he asked him, well, is your boss secure? He said, well, he sure seems secure. He has a lot of money. And Zig said, well, clearly having a lot of money doesn't make one secure. There are people who have $100 million one year and the next year they're bankrupt. They weren't secure. Security obviously is something that's very different. Now let's look at number 5. Do you have good friends in your life? People that you trust and people who trust you. You're not very abundant if you don't have friends. This is a sign of true abundance. Number 6, peace of mind. People who lack peace of mind, no matter how much money they have, I wouldn't call abundant. The ego may think of them as abundance, but without that peace of mind, their wealth has given them very little. And number 7, do you have good family relationships? The people in your life who you call family, do you have good, healthy, open relationships with them? Can you talk to them about the things that come up? Or is there constant conflict in your family relationships? And finally, hope, number 8. Do you have hope for the future? Do you have hope for yourself and for those around you who you love and care for? To Zig Ziglar, these were the 8 things that made for a successful, happy person. And when he talked to his friend and asked the man he was working with and asked about his boss, he said, well, would you say your boss is happy? He said, well, no, he's anything but happy. So we click off on number 1, we click off no. Okay? And I hope you're doing this with yourself. I hope that you're following this yourself. Number 2, is he healthy? Well, no, the fact that he just had a heart attack and has all sorts of health issues, no, he definitely is not healthy. That's definitely a no. Okay, is he reasonably prosperous? Well, definitely yes there, the man said, because he does have a lot of money. Okay, so number 3, we have a yes, finally. So we have 2 no's and a yes now. Is he secure? Zig asked him. He said, well, no, my boss seems secure, but when Zig, compared, security with people who have had $1 million or hundreds of millions of dollars one year and then they're broke the next year, is he secure from that perspective? And he said, no, he doesn't have that kind of money, so no. Does he have friends, people who he's close to? Well, turned out he didn't have very many friends at all, so there's another no. How about peace of mind? Well, he sure didn't seem peaceful to this man. He was always angry, so there was another no. Good family relationships, he asked this man, and he said, well, no, his boss is getting a divorce, so he certainly doesn't have good family relationships, so there's another no. How about hope? Hope for the future? Once again, no. So when all was said and done, and this man looked at these 8 things, there was only one that there was a yes to, and that was being reasonably prosperous. In terms of being happy, healthy, secure, having dear friends, peace of mind, good family relationships, and a hope for the future, they were all no. This is the ego's idea of abundance, unenlightened abundance. If you meet only one of these, does this make you abundant? Certainly not from the soul's perspective. From the soul's perspective, there's a quantum level of abundance on every level. This is what we are here to achieve. And so I hope that you are doing this along with me. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do that. So get ready, and we're going to see for ourselves. So let's take this little survey ourselves. When you start working with a client as a soul abundance or a soul manifestation coach, the first thing you're going to do in your session is to help them to evaluate where they are in terms of their own experience. You're not going to be teaching them as you are learning here, all the different intellectual ideas of I am presence. This is something that's going to dawn on them very gently. We're going to gently lead them into the understanding of what soul abundance is, and enlightened abundance or enlightened wealth. But to begin, we need to simply help them to evaluate where they are in their lives, and then to use that to identify the areas that they want to work in. Once again, this isn't just about making their lives better. It may seem like that at the very beginning, but this does help us to evaluate where they are in their consciousness, where they are in their experience. So let's go back, and if you haven't already, I want you to evaluate yourself on these 8 criterias. And we're going to see how you fit into this. So let's begin with happy. Are you happy in your life? Do you have events and moments in your life when you experience profound happiness on a continual level, or at least on a good number of occasions? Would you consider yourself to be a happy person? Would that be a yes, a no, or a sometimes? Click one of those off. Okay, number 2, are you healthy? This doesn't mean are you perfectly healthy, but in general, do you have health in your life? Do you have a sense of health in your body, in your mind? So once again, click off yes, no, sometimes. Number 3, would you consider yourself to be reasonably prosperous? That means, do you have the resources to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it? It doesn't necessarily mean that you are, a millionaire, or that you have, as much in the bank as other people that you know. Would you consider yourself to be reasonably prosperous? Yes, no, or sometimes. Okay, let's look at secure. How would you define secure? This is a very personal question, and one that may change from person to person. But would you consider yourself to be secure? It is somewhat aligned with that question of reasonable prosperity. But as we also know, that it's not only about that. You could have a great deal of money and then tomorrow not be secure at all. So would you consider yourself to be secure, whatever that means to you? Yes, no, or sometimes. How about friends? Number 5. Do you have dear friends in your life? People that you can turn to on a very deep level? Do you have people who will tell you the truth? Who love you enough to not just go along with anything you say, but to also, reflect to you what they feel to be true? Do you have dear friends in your life? Yes, no, or sometimes. Okay, number 6. Peace of mind. How would you define peace of mind? Do you have a calm attitude, a peaceful sense about you? When people are with you, do they say that they feel peaceful? When we're around peaceful people, that's a very normal thing. We don't tend to feel irritated unless we're around people who are also irritated. It's easy to fall into it. So when people are with you, do they feel peaceful? Do they sense your peace? How would you rate yourself there? Yes, no, or sometimes. Okay, how about number 7? Good family relationships. How about the people in your life that you call family? Do you have good relationships with them? Positive, open relationships? This is so important because it's hard to be out into the world thinking that we are going to improve other people's lives and relationships if we don't have harmonious relationships ourselves. So how would you rate yourself there? Good, bad, or sometimes? And hope. Number 8. Hope for the future. Hope for yourself and for those who you love. Hope for humanity. Do you experience hope? Do you feel hopeful? This is another one of those questions, like secure, that we may have different feelings or attitudes about. But what do you feel? Do you feel that you have hope? Are you a hopeful person? How would you rate yourself there? Yes, no, or sometimes? Okay, now that we've done that, I want you to go back and to grade yourself, or see how many yeses you had, how many no's, how many sometimes. And there is no formula. It's not, we can't say you have to have 5 yeses in order to be at a certain level. This is going to be something only that helps us to evaluate where we are and maybe where we need to do more work. For example, if you're reasonably prosperous and you had a yes there, but you don't have very many friends and you certainly don't have peace of mind, well, if you're working with someone as a soul manifestation coach, this will give you an idea of where we need to focus. This is going to give you an idea of where this person needs to bring some attention. If you're happy and you're healthy, reasonably prosperous, but you don't have hope, that's another good indication of where we can do some work. Or let's say you have all of those things, but you're not prosperous at all. You're broke. Well, we're going to show you ways, and you're going to help your clients find ways to bring far more prosperity into your life, and even that level. Because it is important that we have all the resources that we need. We're not here to always be struggling. We're not here to always be fighting to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to even buy the most necessary things in our lives. It's important that we experience enlightened abundance on every level, that we be prosperous, that we're happy, that we're healthy, we have friends, we have great family relationships, all of these things. Wouldn't it be great if we could score yes on every single one of them? Well, I'm happy to say in my own life that I do feel that I score yes on every single one of these. Now, I haven't always been able to say that, but as I've begun to live more consistently in the I am presence and to express that, even as I am here with all of you, this is a big part of it. Me sharing these lessons is a big part of me increasing all of these things in my life. For as I give to thee, it is received by me. I am sharing the I am presence, the depth of this teaching with you, and so I'm helping to remember this myself. How deeply are you able to experience all 8 of these? And if you scored maybe 5 or 6 on some, and there are 2 or 3 that maybe you don't necessarily feel are present in your life, how willing are you to dive deep into the I am presence, knowing that the deeper I go, the deeper I dive, the more all of these increase. The quantum enlightened abundance. To be abundant on every level. Not just a big bank account, but I'm not happy. How am I profoundly happy, profoundly prosperous, secure, have dear friends, peace of mind, all of these things? Once again, at the very beginning of our sessions, we're going to be asking you we'll actually be giving you a simple form that you can use for this. And one of the first things that you'll be doing is sitting down with your client and working through this just as we have done today, so that you can help them evaluate where they are, what they need to focus on, where their attention should be. And that's going to begin to then build a framework for all the work that you're going to do together. So thank you so much for being honest yourself. Honesty is so important. I mean, no one's looking over your shoulder right now. You're sitting listening to this recording, and you're able to score yourself. And certainly, I hope that you scored very high. But even if you didn't, please have hope. This is just the beginning. As we go through this course, I promise you we're going to be addressing all 8 of these over and over. And by the end of this, I promise, if you truly give yourself, you will score yes on every single one of them. You will begin to experience enlightened abundance on every level. Not just the unenlightened abundance of the ego. You have a lot of money maybe, but you're not happy. Through this course and through this program and what you will help others to do, you will find that you will score on every level. This is what this is all about. So I hope that this first example of the work that you will be doing with your clients as a soul manifestation coach has been helpful. We're going to be sharing different aspects of the coaching process as we go deeper into this program. But the first module is primarily focused on the spirituality and the philosophy of coaching from a soul level, soul manifestation. And of course, as we've been saying here before, it's all about helping the people to realign with the longing of their souls, to know and to experience that one thing that the soul desires above all else, knowing that all else flows from this one experience, the expression of the I am consciousness, to know that I am one with the divine. And as opposed to the ego that desires many things and keeps us distracted from that. You are here to experience this and to share this. So as we go through this course, you're going to be getting all of the different processes, but here at the beginning, we're going to begin to focus more and more on the heart of this. It was really great to be able to share the first thing that you'll be doing with people, to help them evaluate and to help you evaluate. Maybe you want to do this a couple months from now to see, as you have been going through this course, does it change? Has your evaluation changed? It happens naturally. You don't need to focus on every single one of these individually. As you focus on expressing the I am consciousness, these begin to take care of themselves. So thank you so much for being here for this lesson. I'm looking so forward to discussing this with you on the live call. And thank you so much for being willing to take this evaluation yourself. We're going to have so many more of them. So blessings. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. And we'll share again very soon.